anyone, it's from a slightly different translation, does anyone recognise that passage of scripture, what it describes? Fruits of the Spirit, excellent. So it's the extended version of the fruits of the Spirit. So we start, normally what happens is we start at the nice part, which is the fruits of the Spirit. But what we've tried to do is go further in the scripture, which tells you what it looks like to not have the fruits of the Spirit. And the reason I made you do these exercises is all of these fruits stink. And why do you think these fruits smell? A lot of you have done GCSE biology, so dig back to your science in terms of why do you think fruits in a forest would smell?
So that naturally they don't get touched or anything.
Naturally they don't get touched, so people or predators aren't attracted to them. So they give off a really vile smell so that nobody kind of comes.
Also, because forest, the trees are so high, the sun does not go. They don't have a direct contact with the sun. That's why.
Yes. So all those reasons, but the reason I wanted to focus on today is actually they produce a really foul-smelling odour that pushes predators away. In the case of the fruit, that's great. In the case of us as Christians, not so good. And I just wanted to kind of think about that first passage of scripture. Who here struggles with the King James Version? Be honest. I can see some hands very low. Really? Okay. So what I would say to you is, I did for a long time as well because some of the grammar isn't how we normally speak. But one version I'd always recommend or to you to do is to look at other versions to read things. It's slightly easier to read, and then go back to the King James, so you can have meaning, because it has more depth. There was a word in here which I don't know if anybody recognises, and I wanted to get your thoughts on. So it said, the effects of a corrupt nature are obvious: illicit sex, perversion, promiscuity, idolatry, drug use, hatred, rivalry, jealousy, angry outbursts, conflict, factions. Does anyone know what the word factions means? Not you.
You've run through the training.
Okay. Factions, go on.
Or is that like factions as in separating yourself from other people?
Yeah. Has anybody, you're all far too safe, anyone seen The Hunger Games?
Yes.
None of you? Yes. Alright, good. So in The Hunger Games, you will know, for the adults that don't know, you don't ever need to watch that film. The Hunger Games was based on a kind of a futuristic world where people were segregated into things called factions. And what it meant is people couldn't talk to each other, or they couldn't interact with each other, and it bred something. Would you say it bred negativity?
Yeah.
What are other words for things that's similar in nature? So you've got factions, tribes, segregation, someone think we can with C, cliques. And actually that's a really interesting one in this passage of scripture, because actually that's not something we would necessarily put in the effects of a corrupt nature. So why do you think that comes up in this passage of scripture, along with drug use, hatred, and drunkenness? Any suggestions or thoughts?
It's like it's exclusive, you're not including anyone.
Why do you think that is so grave? Do you agree it's quite a tough list? They're pretty serious. Some of them sound pretty serious. What do you think? Why do you think that falls into that section?
Can we talk to each other?
Yes, you can. Confer.
Am I experiencing a joy of life on a regular basis, or is my happiness dependent on things going smoothly in my day? Our conclusion was that it depends mostly on where you're at in your life. So for example, some of us are going to be at a point where we haven't been through as many experiences as someone like Reverend Taylor. So Reverend Taylor was saying that she's been through a longer journey than us in her life. So she's had more experiences where she can say that she's got the joy of life regularly and throughout her journey. That's where she's got to. But we might say most of our lives are around happenings that happen in our daily lives. So today we may have had a bad day, then tomorrow something comes up that we enjoy. So that's where we'd think our happiness would come from. But really, we need to be experiencing the joy of life on a regular basis, which we haven't gone through a journey which we can say we're 100% at that level yet. That's what we were saying. We were saying that joy, obviously, is a very different thing to happiness. More spiritual than it is physical. Happiness can be something material that you have. Joy is realizing where you are in your life.
What we did was we had to separate the two, because the question is actually two questions in one. That's the key thing, I think. So the first part of the question is actually joy being a fruit of the Spirit. So you're dealing on the spiritual level. The second part of the question is on the more natural human level. And so we realize that joy is not just an emotion, it's actually a fruit of the Spirit. It's a spiritual thing that's God-given. And happiness is on the natural level. So it takes happenings, things, to make you happy. And you could be happy today about one thing, and the same thing might not make you happy tomorrow. So it's separating the two things. And I was saying to them that where I am now in life, I've traveled a journey that for me is not about happenings anymore. I've been through lots of happenings, and I realised happenings don't give you joy. But it depends on where you are with the Lord, your relationship with the Lord, your communication with Him. As you develop that, you'll find you more live in that realm of joy with your confidence in Him than in the realm of happenings. So if you're a younger person, you haven't had a journey, then your life is more motivated by happenings. What happens in your life makes you happy.
Am I easily set off when things go wrong or people irritate me? Or am I able to keep a godly perspective in the face of life's irritation? So some of us said that they're not easily set off because it depends on how severe the situation is, or they could that it's easy for them to forgive that situation. But then some of us said that it could be an internal as well as external thing. So if someone irritates you, it could be you could keep it inside, and then that can manifest into more negative things because your actions towards them could be different even if you don't tell them. So we're saying it's good that to sort it out. Like you shouldn't go to bed angry with someone because you don't know what would happen the next day. You don't even know if you'll be there, and that'll be your last moment with them. Also talking about a godly perspective, we was talking about how forgiveness is especially an important one, because if you choose to react to someone in a way where you say you forgive them but you don't really forgive them in your heart, that could be like a very negative thing in your life, because you've got to think about how Jesus was and what He would want to do in that situation, and how if we want to be forgiven, we have to forgive others. Doesn't matter what the situation is. So I think when we think about that, we can see how we're meant to be towards other people when they irritate you or upset you.
Great summary. Question. The first team, the spiritual fruit they were talking about was joy. In this question, as a group to answer to everyone, what spiritual fruit do you think this is segueing off of?
Self-control.
Self-control, yeah. Is there another one? Long-suffering. There's another one. It's a big one. I think it's the umbrella one for this one. Begins with P.
Patience.
Patience and peace.
Peace.
Peace. I read a devotion on this, which is really interesting, similar to what Auntie Rosie was saying, which kind of alluded to exactly the same thought, that if you live in joy and you come out of this kind of spirit, the earthly things, and live in that kind of spiritual world, you kind of lift yourself up. The same way that if you live in peace, things shouldn't irritate you. It's going to irritate you, but you should be hot-tempered. Yeah? Is this an area that we think, for all of us, is an area of improvement? Put your hands up. Everyone, yes. Good. We've done this honesty thing. I'm great. So it's one thing for all of. I think this is a really important one, because who would say? I know you're young, but we live in a stressful world. Would you agree? It's fast. Often we don't have the opportunity to think, and this is why spending time with God is can feel something that's such hard work, because life takes over. But actually, this is why it's so important to root yourself in peace. This is one I continually try and work on. And it's a hard one. But this is, you know, through working out patience. And what was the other one that some people said? Patience and peace and self-control and long-suffering. Those are all offshoots of living in that peace. Any thoughts on that?
Agreement and sometimes that's the hardest.
Yeah, we mentioned this, but we also thought about true forgiveness, because even when you can tell accounts of where you had to cut someone off, or you tell accounts of where you have forgiven, you sometimes betray yourself in the way that you communicate it. And if the words that you're saying to describe a person, the way that you're communicating isn't at all showing any form of love or compassion of Christ, and you still harbour those things.
Yes.
And I think that, as we were talking about some severe situations that some of us have undergone, and actually that's the major struggle as an individual, as a young Christian, as even an older person, is to have a compassion of Christ in situations where we find it incredibly hard to forgive or to detach from other people. I think if we are going to detach, we need to have the pairing of compassion, because you can also be a haughty Christian where you say, I'm detaching myself from you because I found Christ and this is the way I'm going to go. But actually don't tear down people on your narrow route. You know what I mean? You're meant to be the light in other people's lives. So that's what we were saying. It's really important to have a balance.
I agree with both points. I think they've got. I almost think they work in tandem in a way. That, I mean, I can guarantee you, I'm 27 now. I'm telling you, some of the friends that you have now, you won't ever 27. I think a lot of us will be older that can say that you move on, and actually that's a really good point. Is sometimes in that part, if people are, especially in friendship groups, at this where you are now, is actually our friends when we're in our late teens, early 20s, play a bigger role in our lives than maybe they do when we get a little bit older, because it gets tougher. Yeah, and you don't have time. And actually, if people are causing you to not show any of these fruits, it's maybe to Dawn's point, or you find that you're doing the first part of the paragraph, wild parties, then that's time to think about severing the links. And in the same token with Gabrielle, what you were saying, I think that's so true in terms of true love, executing that and actually speaking.
Yeah, definitely. And the point Dawn made was in response to a question that came up in our group. And the scripture does say that bad company corrupts good manners. So it's about, we're talking about the spirit here, and it's one thing, obviously, how you do a lot of these things in the spirit is to walk in the spirit. You've got that choice every day. And to know and to discern when the Lord is saying it's time to cut that friendship here, and that literally to move on in Him. It is, like Gabrielle said, to do it in that love. But that point will come for many of you as young people, where you know the Bible says two cannot walk except they be agreed. It's to have God's wisdom in that situation, definitely.
And I would say, as something that I found, and I don't know if anyone could attest to this, sometimes it's not obvious. So sometimes it isn't that your friends are taking drugs. It's not something as, you know, often we live in extremes. So we think that the friends that we have to cut off are people that do things that are really bad. No, you don't need to cut off a friend because they're doing armed robbery. No, it's not the friends that we keep. But actually, we have friends that can go a different direction. Their worldview is not Christ's view. So the way that they react to situations makes you feel uncomfortable, or the way that they speak to people makes you feel uncomfortable, or the way that they don't include people or do include people makes you uncomfortable. It's those small things, and what Chris was saying, that's walking in the spirit. And it's sometimes not obvious. And that's where you really have to seek God, I think, to see where it's time to.
Severe as
No.
you all are making it. Sounds,
yeah.
Sometimes it's not like taking a knife and cutting off like that.
A limb.
Sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes it's totally unnoticeable even by the other person. It's just that at some point they realise, oh, we're not, you don't talk to us, do we? It's not necessarily as severe as it's sounding to my ears as you're saying. But when you have to make choices, and in making those choices, God enables you to drift apart. Sometimes it's almost unnoticeable. It just hits you by surprise. That friendship is truly close.
Is it my goal to serve others with kindness, Or am I too focused on my own needs, desires, or problems to let the goodness of God overflow to others? In response to this question, like I gave an example of in school, there's like this one gay boy, and he talks about anything and everything that he does, and like not necessarily would he say it around me, but he would look to me, he would say it around me, and I would just kind of stand there and not say anything. So, but in concern to that, I would not say anything because I have a fear of how he would see me because of my beliefs and my faith. But even Auntie Helen said, even sometimes our silence can be positive things because they would be able to see the wrongs in what they're doing through our silence. So there's two sides to that, but from my side, that would be putting my own needs before serving others, and you could put it towards other things. So just kind of even like in conversations with friends, when people just kind of bring to you like problems that you probably wouldn't personally agree with, but you wouldn't say anything because of what they would think of you because of your belief, but actually they could be waiting for us to say something so that they can stop what they're doing or to realise what they're doing is wrong. So I think sometimes I personally can focus on my needs, not intentionally to hurt the person, but in a case of fear of how they would see me, when it is my goal to serve others, but I would unknowingly place my needs before them, before myself. Yeah.
Yes. Understand that. Really good scenario. Can we do one more honest poll? Who here, deep down, at one stage or not, wanted to fit in? Yeah. So, what are some of the problems with wanting to fit in? Compromise. That's a good one. Something else? Change who you are. Anything else? Can it make you act out of character? Yeah. Huh? Corrupt good character. Can it cause you to be silent?
Like where you want to be is not where you actually should be or feel that it's comfortable.
I think this is a really interesting one. Can I see your question again? It's a really interesting one because it's a very interesting scenario because sometimes wanting to fit in or wanting to make, I would call false peace. So not the peace of God, but the peace of not having confrontation. Someone mentioned confrontation somewhere. Can sometimes be putting the need of not wanting to stick out. And I would say, who finds it, no, the honest poll, I said it was my last one, but it's not. The honest poll, who sometimes kind of thinks themselves, especially at school, college, university work, I'd rather just get on with my day and not have to be an ambassador of Christ and pick up his battle. Yeah? Sometimes I'd just rather be complicit and silent and not have to wear my badge, my shield, and my helmet. My helmet's obvious. Yeah. It's kind of you know, it's difficult, and that's I think why, you know, that's the bit of the long suffering. We sing a song which I used to think was really dated until very recently when I re-listened to the lyrics, which said, "We are not ashamed of the gospel." And I think sometimes in today's world, as millennials, are we all millennials? I think we're millennials. I think, yeah. Who's the youngest here?
You're talking to the roof right now, yeah?
Huh?
You're talking to the youth now.
Chris, I just made the millennials. The youth and myself. We have. Would you say that we have a kind of a say yes, instant gratification culture?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say that the kind of I'm not saying these are bad things. I'm just trying to say the perception. Would you say the Instagrammy, Snapchat? Oh, Michelle. Oh, the Snapchat era has made us want to consume quickly, but has also made us want to get affirmation quickly.
Yeah.
Would you say? everyone's looking sheepish.
Just show authority to your staff because she's a manager, and tell them because if you're soft with them, they may not respect you. But the world kind of says that you need to step on that people's toes to make it somewhere. Really and truly, like you just need to keep God first in your life and allow grace to flow through you and show.
Yeah, really. I think the group also talks about, which I thought would be interesting, the question about being brash or coming across as brash or headstrong. And actually, we discussed, I think, that those aren't good words. At the root of it, it's not a good word. So therefore, it's something that needs to change. If that's a fruit that we bear. And actually, I was saying that in the world, being brash, being obnoxious, and being feisty is all quite commonplace now. People are quite brutal with each other. You will see it on the road when you finally drive. It can be, people can be really brash, but actually, it's not at all what God talks about in the fruit of the Spirit, which is love, peace, understanding. And I think we were saying that authority doesn't equate breaking people. No. And actually, to get people to follow you and to lead people to Christ, you need to be a sweet smell, not a foul smell.